Now we're gonna move into just some very basic cuts. The first cut that we're gonna do is just a V cut. So Taha, make sure you change speeds. You're gonna get low, walk your defender all the way in to the paint area, and then you're gonna explode out, okay? So let's just start with that. We're just going over some basic cuts. So V cut, ready, go. So you walk them in, change speeds, pop out, yep, receive the ball. Now let's go L cut. So you're gonna go from the block to the elbow, you're forming an L pattern, and as you plant right here, you wanna make sure you plant into your defender, show your outside hand, then catch it and square up. So we did V cut, now we got L cut. There we go. Now we're gonna go zipper cut. So a zipper cut is any time, and you'll actually dribble at him, keep your dribble alive, and then reverse it out. So a zipper cut is any time a player starts kind of right here in the middle of the floor, they cut right up the middle of the floor to the top of the key and receive the pass at the top. So he's gonna dribble at you, you're gonna circle down, get about right here, zipper cut up, catch it at the top of the key. Yep, there we go. So again, zipper cut, just starting right in the middle of the floor, popping out, catching it up there. Okay, now we're gonna go with a blast cut. So Taha, you're gonna be down here. We're gonna do one both ways. So this is where you start kind of right under the rim. You're gonna take 2 steps out to the side, and then you're sprinting in a straight line to the wing. You're gonna catch it with your back to the basket, and then square up to the basket. Okay, so this is a blast cut. Ready, you go. So 2 steps out. Good. Now let's do the same thing other side. Starting right under the rim. 2 steps out, explode to the wing. There we go, good. Now we're gonna go Iverson cut, so you'll start on the wing, you'll be up a little bit higher. Iverson cut is any time, named after Allen Iverson, this player is gonna go from the wing, cut across the foul line, and then catch it on the other side. Most of the time, there are 2 screeners at the elbow, but we'll just have 1 screener right here, so I'll be your screener, and just catch it on the wing and then go in for a layup. Okay, so this is an Iverson cut. Ready, go. Yep, so they're cutting right over the elbows, right across the foul line, good. Iverson cut. Cutting over both screens. There we go. Good. Now let's do one more. So let's go right there. We're gonna say you got a screener right here on this elbow, and then you got a screener on the other elbow. So you got both, instead of cutting out to the wing, now you're gonna curl off of this one. So it's an Iverson cut, but curling it, okay? Ready, go. Cutting across the foul line, almost like you're going to the wing. There you go. Then you're curling right to the basket, good. So that is the Iverson cut. Now we're gonna do a Laker cut. So this is off of a post feed, and we can either go high or low, but we're gonna feed the post. We'll go Laker cut high first. So you're gonna cut, usually go elbow, front of rim, opposite corner. So of course if you go, you guys can reset. Of course if you go elbow and then you catch the ball right here, you're trying to score, but if you don't catch the ball, you're cutting all the way to the front of the rim, and then you usually get out to the opposite corner. But let's just go catch it at the rim and get a layup. So Laker cut high. There we go, elbow, front to rim. Then we go layup, good. Now let's go Laker cut low. So we're gonna cut on the baseline side now. Yep, there we go, good. Now this kind of builds off of a Laker cut, but now instead of cutting into the paint, we're just gonna relocate. So this is a post feed and then relocate. So let's do a drift to the corner, and then we'll just slide the other way. You can, if you feed the post from the corner, the wing, wherever on the floor, you should be able to cut to the rim or relocate on the perimeter. So let's go post feed, and then drift to the corner. Good, now let's go post feed, slide to the top, hit a 3 up top. No matter what cut you make, so we did V cut, L cut, we did a blast cut, Iverson cut, there's even more cuts than that, but no matter what you do, you always want to lead your defender into the screen, change speeds, and then show your hand and use your body to seal off the defense to get the ball. Now we're into our moving without the ball series, so we're going to look at moving without the ball, you know, relocating on the perimeter off of a drive, off of basic cuts, off of screens, and some other different actions. But the first thing we're gonna do is cover some basic concepts. So the first concept I wanna cover is that the low player wins. So if I am on the perimeter right here and the ball's at the top, Taha, let's say you're my defender, and I'm just trying to get open, if I'm standing straight up and this defender is in a good position, they're almost always going to beat me and I'm not going to be able to get open because I'm standing straight up. And if I walk the defender in and I'm still standing straight up, if I try to position myself so I can cut outwards, well, I'm not in a low, powerful position to either create contact or gain speed. So you got to remember the low player wins. And this just means as I'm going into this cut, I want to be lower than this player, than the defender, and I'm stepping in and then I'm retreating out. So on top of the low player wins, you've got to be able to create contact to create space as you're getting away from your defender. So 2 points to make with that is, one, you've got to be physical. Of course, when you're being physical with a defender, you don't want to push off like this because that's obviously an offensive foul. But one trick you can do is you can step right between the defender's feet. So if I'm trying to get open on the perimeter and my defender's denying me, I could walk my defender down and they're going to retreat. And then what I can do is step right between their feet like this, get my shoulder into their chest or stomach, and then I can pop out. Another concept to cover is you want to go slow. It can be off of screens, off of cuts or whatever, but you want to go slow into your defender and then change speeds out. So if Taha's defending me, this defender's in a good position like that, I don't want to keep the same speed going into my defender. I could walk my defender, they're going to retreat, they're going to retreat, they're going to retreat, and then I get low, get into them, and then I change speeds out. So you want to go slow, typically, not every time, but most times you want to go slow into your defender and then explode fast out of your cut. You can also change speeds, not just going in and out of a cut, but you can also change speeds going through a cut. So here's what I mean here is, Taha, you can play defense on me. So let's say I'm trying to get open on that opposite wing right there and the defender's on me. And if I'm trying to get open on that wing, instead of being at one consistent speed where I'm going at one speed all the way to this opposite wing, I can change speeds throughout my cut. So Taha, you're going to trail me. We're going to say the defender's going to trail me, so I get a first step advantage right here and I sprint. Now they're trailing me. What I can do is kind of stop right here and get the defender on my back, and then I can sprint out again to create that space. So what I did there was, once I stopped or changed speeds, I went here. Now if I change speeds, right at this point I create contact, and then I'm able to create more separation from my defender right there. So you can also not just change speeds going in and out of a cut, but you can change speeds as you are going through a cut. You also want to make sure you show your hands where you want the ball. So we'll work with a L cut right here. So you're going to be my defender on the inside. So I'm just going to go up the lane and then pop out. So when I pop up the lane right here, I can still plant into my defender, still plant into them. But as I'm popping out, I want to show my hand away from the defense. Obviously, I don't want to be right here because that's where the defense is. I want to show my hand away from the defense, and then that way the passer knows to lead me out here. I catch it with my outside hand away from the defense, and now I'm squared up, ready to play. So make sure you show your hands where you want it. You could also do, like if I'm doing a curl cut right here, so just play defense on me right here. Let's say I get a curl face cut on the defender right here. I make this face cut and I can get past, I'll get past you right here, so you'll stay there. Same thing here is I want to show my hand and show the passer, hey, you need to be leading me to the basket as I'm cutting in. So make sure you throw and show your hands wherever you want the pass, and it's got to be away from the defender. Okay, now we're talking about using your body to shield the defense and also to prevent steals. So what'll happen a lot of times is we got defender and then offensive player. The offensive player will cut to the perimeter, and this defender will jump the passing lane and get the steal. So that would look, you know, I'm popping out right here, defense jumps the passing lane, they steal it, and then they go get a layup. Obviously a counter to that would be a backdoor cut, which is what we'll get to. But something else you can do is just use your body to shield the defense. So let's go back to kind of how we started. So now, instead of being in this alignment where it's passer, defender, cutter, what I can do now is I can step into this defender, get them on my back, and now I'm popping out this way, and if the defender's on my back like that, they're not gonna be able to steal it. So something you can do is get the defender physically on your back, almost like you're posting up right here, and then you're going out using your back to shield the defense, and then you're facing up. When it comes to cutting, one thing you don't want to do is dance or just not commit to what you're doing. So if Jake's got the ball up there, he's the point guard. What can happen sometimes is a cutter, I might be here on the wing, and if I'm dancing and this passer doesn't know what I'm doing, just pass it and then I'm gonna backdoor cut. What'll happen is I backdoor cut, and then because I didn't commit to something, the ball is passed out of bounds. So when you're moving without the ball, whether you're going to screen, like if you're going to screen, you've got to really commit to saying, I am 100% screening. If you're going to cut, you've got to make sure, if you're going to cut, don't do this and then go back out and then kind of dance, because in a lot of offenses, if you cut, this next player is filling up. So you just got to commit, whether it's a cut, whether it's a screen, whether it's relocating, just make sure you fully commit so that you don't end up in a situation where you're dancing and then the ball goes out of bounds. Okay, one additional point to make when it comes to moving without the ball is you've got to know your matchup. So let's say I'm a dominant post player and I'm taller than I am, but let's just say I'm a super dominant post player and the defender guarding me is a lot smaller. Well, when it comes to moving without the ball for me, if I've got a post-up advantage, I don't need to be on the perimeter so much as I just need to cut into the paint, get down in the paint, and then go to where my advantage is, which would be in the post. Now let's say it's an opposite way. Let's say, Taha, let's say you're on offense. Okay, I'm taller than you, but let's say you're a lot quicker than me. Well, if I'm taller and I'm stronger, but he's quicker, he won't want to bring me into the post. Instead, his advantage is going to be using his quickness on the perimeter. So instead of a small quick player going to the post, they would want to go out to the perimeter and use their advantage there. So you've got to understand your matchup, what your advantage is, and then based off your advantage, that's kind of where you should think about going on the floor. All right, so now we're moving on to screening, talking about moving without the ball as it involves screening. So we're going to go over a couple of principles for good screening. So we're going to say us three are offensive players. We've got a passer up top, screener, and then I'm the cutter. So the first thing you want to do when you screen is you've got to communicate and be on the same page with your screener. So if Taha's the screener there, I can do a couple things. I can wave, your team may have like a fist sign, or you might just wave. You can say wave, you could just make eye contact, or you could have a certain word that your team uses. One of the common ones I've seen is get me, like get me, come get me and screen for me. The screener, if they wanted to communicate to me, they could say use me, use my screen, but you want to make sure you're communicating with the screener, because what could happen is, let's just say you're staring at the ball and you're kind of out of it. Well, if I want to get a screen and my screener's not paying attention, I can say, get me, Taha, get me. And now the screener knows they're going to walk down and set this screen. So you've got to communicate and you've got to be able to call for your screens. The second thing you want to do after you communicate is you want to walk your defender into the screen. What a lot of players do is, Taha, you can just walk down here and like set a screen kind of in this area. What a lot of players do is they get sped up and they just start hopping, and then they go off of the screen, and when they come off the screen, they have, one or two big steps of space as they come off the screen. So what you want to do, and Taha, you can reset, is as you're calling for the screen, I could be saying, get me. I am walking my defender down into the lane or closer to the basket so that now, as I come off this screen, I'm shoulder to shoulder and our bodies are going to physically touch right here as I am going off of this screen. You can also be patient with it. What you can do, you can watch NBA film. The cutter will walk their defender into the screen and they will stand right here for 1 or 2 seconds, if not longer, and then just kind of chop their feet, and then they can go full speed off of the screen or they can backdoor cut. So the key point there, and you can go back up there, the key point there is that you have to be patient. You got to walk your defender into the screen and you got to be patient. So now what we'll move to is specific movements off of the perimeter. So both of you guys can go up top. So as we're doing these perimeter relocations, there's a couple things you can do. You can either just slide like this, you know, where if you're going up or down the 3-point line, you can kind of shuffle slide like this. You can also turn and run and get to your spot and then shape up to the basket. But what you want to do, whether it's you're sliding or you're running, whatever you're doing, you want to make sure that as you're getting the pass off of your relocation, you're still stepping in towards the basket and still getting balanced. Because what some players do is they'll shuffle, and then they'll catch, and then their momentum's going away from the basket. So you still want to try to step in and meet the pass. As you're working on this, you know, some players, like if you're middle school, you don't have to be on the 3-point line. You can just work on relocating maybe 1 or 2 steps inside the 3-point line. Then of course, if you're older, you can be outside the 3-point line. So let's just go right here. We are going to go drift to the corner off of a middle drive, So this is just a drift. We went from the wing to the corner. There we go. Okay, so right there we just did a middle drive and he drifted to the corner. Now it's still gonna be a drift to the corner, but now it's gonna be off of a kind of a baseline drive. Okay, go. So both times on that drift, shooter moved from the wing down to the corner. Now we're gonna go drift off of a baseline drive. So Jake, you can go to the corner and, yeah, so you can pass to me. So all these are drifts. Drift means you go from the wing to the corner typically. So let's just say I'd have the ball, I'm gonna pass to the corner. So now Jake, what you're gonna do is drive baseline, left-handed, and then you're gonna spin out. Taha, you're drifting to the corner that way, okay? So Jake, you can just start with the ball in the corner. That's okay. So we did drift off a middle drive, drift off a wing to the baseline drive. Now we did a drift off of a baseline drive from the corner. Now let's go, Jake, you're gonna go to this corner, same thing, drift still. So these are just all drifts from different angles. So we're gonna go baseline drive, drift to the corner. Ready, go. There we go. And let's do one more. Now we're gonna go off a post feed. So Jake, you can hand it to me. You'll start in the wing, you're gonna go down to the corner. And we'll just drift. Sorry, Jake, you're gonna be in the block. So we're gonna say I have a post feed right here, although typically you don't wanna feed the post from the top of the key, but let's just say this is what we do. So I'll feed, then you're gonna drift to the corner, okay? Here we go. So that's a drift off of a post feed. All right, now we're gonna go with a lift. So now we're gonna go from the corner to the wing. So Taha, you can start let's just do the other side. Of course you wanna be working both sides on this. But yeah, Taha, you can go to the corner. We did drifts, now we're gonna do lifts. So let's just have you start here at the wing. You're gonna drive middle, get on 2 feet. He's gonna lift up, and we're just imagining that the defender just stays right here. Okay, so I'm your defender. Okay, drive middle. Yep, then you lift it up. Good, and of course you can shoot, lay up, one dribble, pull up, whatever you want out of those. And we worked on all those different driving angles from the corner, from the wing, from the top. So you can add those with those lifts, but since we already went through those, you can just add any of those angles and then add your lift into any of those driving angles. Okay, now we're gonna go with a slide. So Taha, you're gonna be up top. Jake, you're gonna start from about the wing. You can take, yeah, that's fine right there. So now we're just sliding. So we're gonna drive middle, and we're just gonna slide right here into the wing, catch it, step into a shot, into a drive, or into a pull-up. So this is just a perimeter slide. There we go. Good. Now we're gonna go circle behind. So Taha, you can start with it. You're gonna drive to your right. Jake, you're gonna circle behind, and then Taha, you're gonna circle out, go here, pivot out, and then hit him at the top of the key. Good, so that's a fill behind, good. And of course, catch and shoot or drive it, good. Now let's go to the other side. Now we're going left-hand drive, we're gonna circle behind. Good, up into the shot. So those are circle behind. Now let's go backdoor cut, and we're going to make a couple of points right here with the backdoor cut. So Taha, you'll just start right here. You're going to dribble. We'll go fill backdoor cut first. You'll be right in the middle. So let's go fill backdoor cut. So we're saying Jake is lifting or filling into this next spot, and he's going to backdoor cut. Now the key with the footwork here, we'll start with an example of bad footwork, is that bad footwork is when, here, just slide out of the way a little bit. So yeah. Bad footwork is when the player comes up here and they start dancing, and then they maybe kind of do a circle, and then they take 10 steps, and on their 10th step, that's when they go backdoor. If you backdoor, you want to take 2-3 steps depending on how you look at it, off of a lift or a fill. So right here, I'm going up, and as I backdoor, I'm going to go right, left, plant off of this top foot, and then I'm going straight backdoor. So you want to make sure you plant off of that top foot quickly, and then backdoor. And then of course, you're going to lead them into a layup. Okay, so this is a fill backdoor. Go. Plant off the top foot. Good. Let's do the same thing other side. So now on this side, you're planting off of that right foot, and then you're going backdoor. You got to have efficient footwork. 1, 2, backdoor cut. Good. And the other point to make on the backdoor cut is that you want to have a sharp cut, meaning when I plant off of this top foot, from this plant, I'm going in a straight line to the rim. I'm not planting and then kind of curling right here going into my cut. You want to play in a straight line right there. Now let's go dribble at backdoor. So you're just going to be on the wing right there. And what we're saying is a defender is in here and they're just denying. Maybe my head is only on the ball right here so I don't see my man. And it's the same thing with the footwork here. You don't want to take 4 steps and cross your feet and then go. You just kind of want to stand here and then plant and go. So dribble at backdoor. There we go. Let's do the same thing other side. Dribble at backdoor. Good. There we go. One of the best phrases that will teach you when to cut is seeing the back of your defender's head. So I'm going to say I'm guarding Jake, and let's say the offense, you just have the ball kind of right in this area right here. So a good defender, if I'm a good defender, I'm right here or I'm open, but I can still see both my man and the ball. But defenses, they'll get lazy, and from the cutter's perspective, now he can see the back of my head. And this usually means, unless they're a great shooter and we're going to do a skip pass, which isn't for most players, but if this player can see the back of my head, that means to cut, because that means I can't see this player. And I'm still thinking, if they cut and I never see my person I'm guarding, if they make this pass, go ahead and cut, I'm going to turn. No, you're going to pass on the cut. Yeah, so you're cutting kind of baseline right here. So if I never see my offensive player that I'm guarding, when they pass it, I'm going to turn and look here, and they're already gone. So that can be from the corner, like let's say, you can pass it back up there. That can be against a zone. So if we're in a 2-3 and I'm the bottom player in a zone and I'm looking like this, Jake, you could flash middle right there. Yeah, because we would have 3 defenders on the bottom. You could flash middle. Or also, if it's against a man-to-man, you can step right up here. If it's against a man-to-man, I'm the defender right here on Jake. If you see the back of my head like this and I'm guarding you, that is also the sign to go backdoor. So anytime you see the back of your defender's head, that's a sign to flash to the middle or to do a backdoor cut. Now, one thing and one time where you don't want to move without the ball is on a drive where you're in the corner. So Jake, we're going to say we're focused on you moving without the ball. Taha, you're up top. Or let's just say you're about right here. So you don't typically want to move in this situation. So I'm guarding Jake, and Taha, let's say you drive and you got by your defender, and you can just drive right here and then stop. Okay, good, right there. Right here, this person does not want to move without the ball because this ball handler is trying to make a very simple decision. The ball handler beat their defender, so now if I stay out, they're going to take the layup. If I stay in, now this offensive player is just going to stay in the corner and knock down the shot. So there's a couple of times and exceptions where you don't want to move without the ball, and this is one of them. And the point is, we want to make this player's job simple to make the read of if they're in, pass. If they stay out, the defender stays out, then you go in for the layup. All right, now we're moving to our flare series. So a flare screen is anytime, like the ball could be in the wing right here, there's going to be a screener who is setting a screen for a player who does not have the basketball, and the player without the ball is cutting away from the ball, and they're going over the screen, and then of course they're making a read from there. But let's say this first read right here is just your defender is just right here. They didn't go over, they didn't go under, they're just staying here. So what you're going to do is just catch it over the screen and then attack into a pull-up. And y'all can take one step that way. You start with the pass to me, and then I'll pass it back to you. There we go. So that's just your defender ran into the screen. Now let's say your defender goes over the screen. So now you're just going to curl it, catch it for a layup. Okay, ready, go. So they went over the screen. Yep. Now you're going to catch it for a layup. Now let's say, and Jake, slide down one step. Now we're going to say your defender goes under the screen. So what's going to happen is this player is going to re-screen. You're going to stop right behind the screener and shoot a three, or go into a pull-up, but let's just shoot a three right here. Okay, start. Hold on, we'll restart. Start with the flare. Defense goes under. There we go. Jake set the screen like he did. And then set the rescreen. So when they set the rescreen, you want to be directly behind their back, because now, if you're at this angle, yep, the defender can kind of slip that screen and still get to you. So just make sure you stop right behind his back. All right, now we're on to our floppy series. So this is the floppy set. You're going to have two screeners. Okay, this chair represents a screener, and then Jake, you're going to be the other screener, and you're going to square up you're going to be about right there. Yep, and square up. So floppy series, the screens are set kind of in the block area, and then the shooter can run off either way, left or right. Sometimes there's two shooters. You may circle around the screen, but this is just the basic setup of the floppy series. So the first read that we're going to do is we're going to say your defender is just trailing you, so they're directly behind you, and then what you're going to do is just curl off, and you can go either side, but you're just going to go regular curl off of the screen into a jump shot. Ready? Yep, so regular curl. Good. Now we're going to go pop back. So we're going to say your defender goes over the screen, and then you're going to pop back kind of towards either corner. Okay? So they go over the screen. Yep, there you go. Sorry for the bad pass. All right, now we're going to say your defender steps up and kind of jumps the cut. So again, you can go either side. But let's say I'm your defender and you start cutting this way. Well, now let's say I'm trying to explode through that screen and beat you to the spot. Now you would just go backdoor. Yep. So now you would go backdoor. So this is defense overplays the screen, so you go backdoor. You can go either side. Yep. There we go. All right, now we're going to go to our pin down series. Normally, a down screen means that the screener starts here at the wing area and goes down to the corner to set a screen. A pin down is when they go from the wing and then they're stepping down towards the block. So this is the pin down series. So the first thing we're going to do is just a normal curl off the pin down. Okay. Yep, so there's a regular curl. We're saying the defense trailed behind. Now let's go straight cut to the perimeter. Now we got a straight cut. Good. Good shot. Now we're going to go with a flare. So we're saying the defense overplays, and the defense, yep, the defense jumps on this side of the screen, so that's going to leave it open on the corner, and we're going to rescreen. So pin down, flare to the corner. Yep. Now let's go back door. So the defense is overplaying the screen. There we go. Good. All right, now we're going to go to our stagger series. So a stagger is when you have two screeners. So we've got a screener here, and then again, this chair is representing another screener. The cutter is going to, of course, set their screen up. They're going to walk their defender in, and then we're going to go off of different options off of this stagger. So the first one that we're going to do is a regular curl in for a layup. So the defender trails you, you go regular curl. Okay, you ready? Go. Going regular curl, going right in for a layup. Good. Now let's go straight cut for a three-point shot. So the defender can stay right behind you, but get caught up in the screens if you're a good shooter. All right, so now we're gonna go curl off of the first screener. Curl off the first screener. Yep, there we go. That's a good curl just to surprise the defense. Now let's go with a pop back behind the second screener. So it doesn't really matter how the defender played the first screen, but what we're saying now is I'm your defender and somehow I got under this guy, this screener. They're gonna re-screen me and you're gonna be right behind the screen for a three. All right, ready, go. So this is a pop back, there we go. Good shot. All right, last cut out of the Stagger series is just a backdoor. So we're gonna say the defender is here, you walk me in. Now I'm getting ahead of myself and I'm trying to jump this screen. I get one step ahead of you. Now you just go backdoor. Yep. So we're gonna go backdoor off of the first screen. Here we go. Yep. There we go, good. So the first thing that post players need to think about is creating position or creating scoring opportunities before the catch. A lot of post players, wherever they are on the floor, whether it could be the elbow, it could be the low block, they just kind of stand there and they're not seeking contact, they're not trying to get open. But a good post player is always kind of thinking, how can I either create position or how can I create position for a teammate to score the basketball? So you've always got to be thinking, what can I do to help my team get position, whether for me or somebody else? So the positions on the floor that we'll go over, and I'll hold the ball here, Jake. The first one is the dunker spot. So the dunker spot is on the baseline. Your heels are as close to the baseline as possible, and you are squared up to the basket. This is normally out of a dribble drive offense, and the idea behind the dunker spot is if I'm the defender on this player, and I'm all the way back here defending them, well, that's good because now you have all this space in the paint open for your teammates to drive. On the other hand, if I'm the defender and I stay up here, well, now he's able to play behind me and also create rebounding position. So the first spot, of course, all these spots could be on either side of the floor, but that's the dunker spot. Now let's just go low block. So the other one is the low block. So that's right here on the block on the floor. You want to get good position, show your hands, all that stuff that we'll talk about in a second. So you got low block. You also have high block or high post. So that could be somewhere in this area right here. Yep, it could be high block, and then it could be all the way up to the elbow. A lot of players, post players, they play through the elbow where they'll have the ball passed to them right here, and then an offensive player may cut off either way off of the elbow. That could be out of chin offense, a bunch of other stuff playing out of the high post. All right, short corner is another one. This isn't dunker spot. Dunker spot is back to the baseline. Short corner is you're kind of squared up to the basket. So you're still going to be in that area, but you'll even be kind of higher. Dunker spot is you're close to the baseline as possible, but short corner is more, you're kind of just right inside the three-point line. So you got to be able to play from that spot. We talked about the elbow. Now the nail, which is right in the middle of the foul line, this is a spot to play from as well. You could receive a pass from the perimeter and then face up. You may even post up kind of in this area right here. But receiving the ball and being able to pass out of the nail or foul line area is somewhere you got to play from. The other place that you got to play from is the top of the key, because in transition, and we'll talk more about this, a lot of times point guards will get ahead of the ball, they'll get into the paint, and then the post player is the one who passed it in out of bounds from there, so they'll flip it back and then they'll play from the top of the key. So those are the different positions you want to be able to really master out of being a post player. Now, if you can play off the perimeter and do certain dribble moves, that's great, but those are just the basic positions that you need to cover. So we're going to talk about creating position now, and Jake, just go to the low block. So all these points could be from any of the positions that we just talked about, but we're going to talk about creating position to get open. So the key of getting open is you want to have a wide base, and slide up just a little bit. So the key is you want to have a wide base. You don't want your feet here. You want to have your feet as wide as possible. You want to be squared up to the passer, and you also want to show your hands to the passer. So if I'm going to feed the post right here, Jake's in a good wide position. He'd be using his backside, his butt, to get into the defender. He's showing his hands. And then as the ball is fed, he's going to catch it and keep the ball tight to his body. When you are receiving the pass in the post, and this is almost for any other position, what you don't want to do is retreat away from the pass, because then it's going to result in a steal. So this is what a retreat would look like. Jake's on offense, Taha, you're on defense. So as I'm feeding the post, if the offensive player retreats and goes backwards, what often happens is the defense steals the ball. So you don't want to retreat. Instead, you want to seal off your defender, keep your defender on the back, and then you also want to meet the pass. So let's give a good example there. Yep, so you're sealing the defender, and then you step out to meet the pass. And then from there, you can face up, back down, do whatever you want. But you want to make sure that you aren't retreating, because that's when a steal will happen. All right, now we're going to look at specific moves of creating position. So the first one we're going to look at is a swim move. So the keys here are, you don't want to push off, but you want to use one hand to kind of push the defender, but not without fouling, and then the other hand is going to swim above the defender to create position. So you'll just catch it and hold your position right here. Okay? Yep, so arm goes up, then you're now getting in front of the player. Yep, and we won't score, you can kick it back out. Okay, now we're going to go with a duck in across. So I'll have the ball up top. Jake, you're going to start right there. Taha, you're going to be in help. I'm just going to dribble over, and this could be off of a ball reversal, or it could be off of a dribble, but the offensive post player is going to create position and hit this defender before the defender is able to slide over. So let's do a duck in across right here. Ready, go. Yep, so he is seeking position, and then he's sealing the defender right there. Good. Now let's go duck in up. So that was a cross. Now we're going to go duck in up. So we're going to say, Taha, you can be like the defender about right here. Now we want to cross, the last one we want to cross the floor. Now we're going to go up the floor. So let's just say, Jake, you're kind of at the block here. So now instead of going across, you're going up on this dribble. So it's a duck in up. Once I dribble, you can go. Oh, yeah. Okay. So duck in up the lane. And Jake's take one more step back. Yeah, there we go. So duck in up. Here we go. Good. So we stepped up the lane that time instead of stepping across the lane. The next move is a high seal. So we're going to say that offense is right here, and then defense, you're going to be fully fronting the post. Yep. Yeah, so you'll be fully fronting. Yeah, there we go. So you're fully fronting. Now the high seal, the explanation behind it is if I am the passer here on the perimeter, what the post player wants to do is create as much room as possible on the backside to receive the pass. Because, let's say, y'all scoot down all the way right here. If the post player is being fronted and they are very low and close to the basket, what'll happen is I'll throw it up and it'll hit the backboard because there's no space behind the post player. So what we want to do, and this is a high seal, what the post player wants to do against a front is walk this defender up without fouling, but the further up this post player can walk up the defender, now we're going to have more room on the backside to go catch the basketball. So let's just work on that, and then you can just hit a basic layup. So this is a high seal. Yep, walk him up, good. Then you got to create that space from the defender and go get it. Now this is kind of the opposite. This is going to be a bury. You're going to bury the defender. So instead of a front, it's going to be behind. So Taha, instead of fronting, you're behind. Now it's the exact opposite. From the defensive perspective, the defense wants to walk the offensive player out. From the offensive perspective, you want to walk the defender in as low as possible. So y'all start about right here. Because the offensive player, you're going to catch the ball to the rim as close as possible. So you're just going to bury him as deep to the rim as you can. Close to the rim as you can. There you go. Good. So depending on if the defender's in front of you, you want to create more space on the backside. If they are behind you, you want to bury that defender as close to the rim as possible. Now we are looking at moving without the ball for post players. We could either be in a dribble drive, we could be in a 5-out motion, we could be in a 4-out, 1-in motion. these principles can apply to multiple offenses, but we're gonna first start from the dunker spot. So let's go dunker spot on this side. The dunker spot is kind of right here on the baseline. The post player's back is towards the baseline. Chest is pointed towards, you know, the opposite side of the floor. And the post player is just right here, kind of low position, getting ready to relocate or do whatever they need to do. Because the whole dunker spot idea is that if I am guarding the dunker spot, if I am all the way down here guarding the dunker spot, that leaves a lot of room open for people to drive in and make a layup. But now, if I step up, Taha, let's say you drive it right to the middle. Now if I step up and I'm guarding that player, well, now they're open from the dunker spot. So this is dribble drive stuff really, is where it comes from, but it could be in multiple different offenses. So we're gonna go through a couple of different movements out of the dunker spot. We're gonna go circle along the baseline. So actually, Taha, you're gonna start right here. You're gonna drive middle with your left hand, and the dunker spot player is gonna just circle kind of behind the rim, step in right here, get behind the defense, and then go in for a layup. Yeah, you can go. As circle behind, let's do the same thing other side. Same thing other side, so we're just circling kind of behind the goal and behind the defense. All right, now we're gonna circle up to the short wing. So you're gonna start right there and you're just kind of circling up into this area, the short wing. You're gonna drive, yep, Taha, you're gonna drive there. And what we're saying is I'm guarding this player and I stay right here the whole time. So you're just gonna shape up and get a short jump shot right there out of the dunker spot. Yeah, you'll drive middle. Yep, so this is just circling up to the short wing. Let's do the same thing other side. So we're going from the dunker spot and then just kind of circling up right here. Good, now we're gonna go circle up to a short hook shot, so you're gonna be even closer to the basket. So we'll have the driver, you're gonna drive, hit that spot right there, and you're just kind of going right behind them for almost a handoff, and then as you hand off, you're kind of a screener almost, and then you're hitting a hook shot or jump shot right behind them. Yep, there we go. Let's do the same thing, other side. So this is just circling behind your driver. Now we're gonna go duck in from the dunker spot. So I am gonna be the defender. You're just gonna slide in and like create post position. So the offensive player is gonna drive middle. You can start in the dunker spot. I am guarding the post player right here. So we're just saying I stay right here. This offensive player is gonna duck in to create post position, hit me pretty hard, yep, and then you would have driven right there, and then you're just gonna feed him just like that. Okay, so let's do that both sides. So this is ducking in. I won't play defense, but this is ducking in from the dunker spot. Very good. And this is a good move because if help defense is already right here in the middle, the offensive player just has to come over and create that position. So this is ducking in from the dunker spot. You can do this from the block as well. All right, now we're going to create position off of a pin and spin. So what we're going to say is, we've got a post player, so you're an offensive post player right there. Taha, you're just going to be right here with the ball. So we're going to say there's a ball reversal. You could either be a pass or it could be a dribble. So you're just going to dribble, not yet, but you're just going to dribble from here to there. And what the post player is going to do is a spin and pin. So what we're saying is you're posting up and I'm fronting you, but as the ball is reversed or dribbled, you're gonna spin, yep, that way, and then pin the defender right there. And when you spin, you can take one step this way, but get it to where catching position where you're right here for the layup as opposed to, you know, catching it all the way out here. Okay, so let's just go pin, spin and pin. Hold on, let's restart. I'll set up on defense. All right, so you're trying to post up. You're trying to post up and feed right here. There we go. Let's do the same thing other side. So we're trying to post up. There we go. So that is the spin and pin. Okay, so a similar move we're going to do is from the elbow. So this is a rare move, but Celtics used to do it. So we're going to say all of our teammates are pretty high, you know, they're outside the three-point line. There's no help defense in the paint. So we're gonna say I'm the defender on the post player. They're trying to get it at the elbow, but what you're gonna do is just spin off of it and then cut, and then you're throwing a lob, either lob, catch it, layup, or dunk, or whatever. Okay, so this is just a spin off an elbow. Yep, there we go. Let's do the other side. So you got to be able to spin, turn, and find the basketball.